Welcome to This Explainer. So today we're going to dive into what is honestly one of the most profound questions in all of science. Why is life built the exact way that it is? I mean, when we look around from a tiny blade of grass to a massive blue whale, we are witnessing this absolutely incredible architectural marvel of nature. But to truly understand this architecture, we really have to start by looking at the fascinating history of a word we see literally almost every single day at the grocery store: organic.
You know, we hear the word organic all the time, right? Usually it's about how our food is grown. But scientifically, the whole meaning of that word fundamentally shifted over 200 years ago. See, originally, scientists actually believed that the stuff making up living things contained this sort of magical vital force, like something inherently mystical that just couldn't be replicated in a lab. They figured organic compounds were exclusively the domain of living, breathing organisms. But, well, early chemists systematically dismantled that myth. They revealed that the quote-unquote magic of life isn't magic at all. It's actually defined by something way more tangible: the chemistry of carbon compounds.
And this realization, it triggered a rapid domino effect of discoveries. Back in 1784, T. Bergman first coined the term organic chemistry. Then, right in the early 1800s, Jöns Jacob Berzelius made a massive breakthrough. By burning organic substances and measuring the carbon dioxide in water that came off, he proved that all organic compounds consistently consist of carbon and hydrogen. But okay, the absolute mic drop moment came in 1828. Friedrich Wöhler successfully synthesized urea, which was a known organic compound, simply by heating up an inorganic salt called ammonium cyanate. Boom! No vital force required. With just that one experiment, the barrier between the inanimate mineral world and the living biological world was completely shattered. Which naturally brings us to a favorite science fiction trope, and honestly a completely valid chemical question: why carbon? I mean, if you look at the periodic table of elements, silicon sits directly below carbon in the exact same group. They share very similar chemical properties. So, could there be a distant planet out there covered in silicon-based trees with silicon-based alien life forms just walking around? To answer that, we basically need to stage a microscopic showdown, a robust carbon-to-carbon chain going head-to-head with a silicon-to-oxygen chain. Let's think about how these elements actually link up in the real world. Carbon atoms absolutely love to link directly to other carbon atoms, creating these beautiful, uninterrupted chains. Silicon, on the other hand, well, it behaves very differently when it tries to build a structure. While carbon seamlessly interlinks to form incredibly stable structures using single, double, and even triple bonds, silicon really struggles to do the same. Silicon-silicon bonds are inherently fragile. They're weak, highly unstable, and, get this, surprisingly sensitive to light. If some delicate silicon-based organism had tried to evolve on early Earth, those molecular bonds simply wouldn't have survived the harsh, chaotic environmental conditions. The sunlight alone would have literally torn their fundamental molecular chains apart. No way that works for biology. So the crucial takeaway here is that while silicon is incredibly abundant on our planet, its chemical destiny is completely different from carbon's. Because it can't hold on to itself very well, silicon forms remarkably strong bonds with oxygen atoms instead. This creates this alternating silicon-oxygen-silicon structural motif. Now, these motifs are highly present in the natural world all around us for sure, but they result in inanimate rocks, quartz, and minerals. Basically, silicon builds mountains, not biology. It just cannot form the dynamic, shifting, complex molecules you actually need to spark and sustain life. And complexity? Complexity is absolutely the key here. To achieve the true, messy complexity of life, biological systems need an immense toolkit of different molecules to perform all sorts of different jobs. The biologist Stuart Kauffman famously calculated that to kickstart biological evolution, a prebiotic system, which just means the chemical environment before life existed, requires a critical diversity. He estimated this threshold to be at least 200,000 differently structured molecules. 200,000? That is a massive requirement for any single element to fulfill. But carbon absolutely shatters that requirement. 200,000? Today, chemists actually know of more than 10 million different organic compounds. 10 million! And that number is constantly growing every single year as new compounds are discovered or synthesized. Carbon possesses this absolutely unparalleled ability to generate a staggering variety of molecular shapes and sizes, all made possible by its incredibly unique underlying geometric properties. It achieves that massive diversity through things called allotropes, which are basically just different physical forms of the exact same element. It is honestly mind-blowing to think about. The soft, flaky lead inside your pencil,
And the hardest, most brilliant gemstone in a jeweler's window? They are made of the exact same element. The only difference? Literally, the entirety of the difference is how those specific carbon atoms are arranged in space.
Here is where the geometric magic really happens. In graphite, every carbon atom is surrounded by 3 neighbors, forming a flat, planar, trigonal arrangement. Think of it kind of like sheets of chicken wire, just stacked on top of each other. But in a diamond, the carbon atom locks into a highly stable, 3-dimensional tetrahedral grid, binding super tightly to 4 neighbors in this pyramid-like shape. These 2 fundamental geometric motifs, the flat trigonal and the 3D tetrahedral, they act as the basic structural patterns for virtually all organic molecules.
Because carbon can use these microscopic geometric patterns to build out in multiple directions, it basically acts as the universe's ultimate Lego brick. Back in the late 19th century, scientists like Kekulé, Cooper, and Butlerov actually figured out this secret. They realized carbon doesn't just form boring straight lines. It branches out. It bends back on itself to form rings or cyclic structures. It can mix and match single, double, and triple bonds to lock all these wild shapes into place. This infinite modularity is exactly why carbon can so easily clear that 10 million molecule mark.
But wait, it gets better. Carbon's architectural marvels aren't just limited to our planet or to biological life. Let's zoom way, way out to intergalactic space. Scientists observe that dying stars, right in the final phases of their development, actually erupt. And when they do, they eject massive amounts of elemental carbon out into the cosmos. So curious about what this literal stardust actually looked like, a group of chemists, Harold Kroto, Richard Smalley, and Robert Curl, decided to simulate those violent, highly energetic interstellar conditions right here on Earth, in their laboratory.
And what they found was a breathtaking new arrangement of carbon. By vaporizing carbon and carefully looking at the molecular masses that formed, they discovered this incredibly beautiful structure. It's a molecule made of exactly 60 carbon atoms, completely closed in on itself to form a microscopic, highly symmetrical, hollow ball.
This magnificent sphere consists of exactly 12 pentagons seamlessly surrounded by hexagons. If that specific shape sounds familiar, it's because it perfectly resembles a nanometer-scale soccer ball. And because this exact geometric structure echoed the famous geodesic domes designed by the visionary architect Richard Buckminster Fuller, the scientists named this new C60 molecule the fullerene, or, as it's more affectionately known in the chemistry world, the buckyball.
The discovery of fullerenes didn't just win these guys a Nobel Prize. It literally launched an entirely new scientific era. Following C60, scientists quickly discovered a whole family of these structures, including these elongated tubular carbon cylinders known as carbon nanotubes. Because these structures exist at the nanometer scale, meaning they're incredibly tiny yet staggeringly strong and highly electrically conductive, they possess these intriguing properties that bulk carbon simply doesn't have. Today, they're driving massive leaps in nanotechnology. We're talking about a future filled with hyper-advanced materials and lightning-fast molecular electronics.
Which really leaves us with this final, beautiful mystery to ponder. Think about the incredible journey of carbon we've just explored. How amazing is it that the exact same elemental building block, forged in the violent eruptions of dying stars millions of light-years away, is precisely what makes up the humble graphite in your pencil, the biological cells that allow you to breathe and think right now, and the revolutionary nanotechnology of tomorrow?